2020, a year of many unforeseen challenges, where all had to adjust to a new reality. And despite it all, Got Kush TV was and still is here to serve you. And what a year it's been. We began the repatriation journey with our new show, Voyage to Motherland. We dropped the knowledge as you took your seats in the Kush Community and joined us to hold a meds with the Ankh Doc. Got Kush TV invited you to get involved in conscious, controversial conversation and enter the cipher. And when the world went into lockdown, we kept you connected with the Quarantine Convos. We kept our finger on the pulse of the community with coverage of the Reparations Rebellion and the Black Pound Day All Dayer. Not to mention more wordsmith and a slew of new music video releases for your viewing pleasure and the official launch of the Got Kush TV website. We also brought you events including Women of Power and of course Black Tricity. Now in 2021 Got Kush TV is continuing to level up the thing. First up, we are pleased to inform you that gotkushtv.com is open to exclusive memberships. Sign up to any of our membership tiers and you will gain access to playbacks from all our events and an ever-growing list of exclusive original content, including interviews, documentaries, and shows such as Kush Community. To become an official member of gotkushtv.com, simply hit the membership tab. Stay tuned for continued updates. Then there's the new shows. Look out for more Decipher, Wordsmith, Hold a Meds with the Ankh Doctor, and weekly episodes of Quarantine Convos focused on health, wellness, education, and inspiration for our community. As always, the Got Kush TV film team is available for hire to cover all your events, adverts, infomercials, and all filming needs. Visit us at gotkushtv.com for hire inquiries and more information. Stand by all Black businesses through our website, social media, and show content. We have monumental advertising, sponsorship, and network opportunities catering specially for you. Check out the advertising page on gotkushtv.com for more information. Got Kush TV is in full flight to join us for the ride. There's 4 things you can do. Subscribe to our channel. Hit that bell to make sure you don't miss a release. Join us on all social media and hit up gotkushtv.com to subscribe to our mailing list and sign up to become a Got Kush TV member for exclusive opportunities in the near future. Let us know you are feeling our content by hitting that ever so important button of approval. Comment. We want to hear your feedback on everything we are putting out. So make sure your presence is felt in the comment section. Share. Spread the word by hitting that share button and exposing your circle to the magnificence that is Got Kush TV. We are looking forward to building with you throughout 2021 and servicing you with high quality Black media production. Got Kush TV, beyond discussion, beyond debate, we put the power in Black media.
If you look at the African
Black Tricity, Got Kush TV's exclusive pre-Kwanzaa showcase is now available for you to watch absolutely free. In conjunction with Ghana, the On the Return series, we have brought the African diaspora experience directly to you. To watch this monumental event absolutely free, simply register for membership at gotkushtv.com and you will receive access to Black Tricity as well as more exclusive content, including Reggie Rockstone, Yusufu Jallo, VVN, Malachi Selassie, Daddy Makes Dough, Tods, King Wiz, Tubada, Ras Ashiba, Mama Sia, Brother Leader Bandaka, Israel, Sister Moot, Carla Marie, Yemaya Sankofa, Goldflow, and a special Voyage to Motherland panel discussion. All this and more, hosted by Nat Nye and Stella B. Register now at gotkushtv.com.
The Women of Power Summit, a monumental event dedicated to profiling the work of African women around the world, past, present and future, featuring Affiong El Affiong, Ronoku Rashidi, the Goddess Neith Knight, Tony Warner, Ari Ma'at and Celine Ekigwe. To watch the Women of Power Summit, simply register at gotkushtv.com for this and even more exclusive content. Got Kush TV, we put the power in Black media.
Should more African nations join the Year of Return?
I would say every descendant of Africa should go home.
But the same things are happening. The tax money is still coming back to Europe.
How do we contribute to the decolonization of Africa?
So if Africa is our focus, are we then neglecting the Caribbean?
the year returned so successful, 1.9 billion. 1.9 billion. And all of a sudden, the whole world shut down.
Making sure that people on the continent see the real picture of how we live here.
Welcome from Ghana, Accra.
Quarantine Convos. Enjoy weekly discussions with people from around the world, assisting us in dealing with this normal, mentally, spiritually, and physically. We feature nutritionists, psychologists, therapists, personal trainers, home educators, legal experts, and more, bringing you all the information and inspiration you need. Check out Quarantine Convos every Thursday from 7 p.m, live on Got Kush TV.
I mean, kings and queens, I mean, you don't know, we are here. You are in the place to be with Got Kush TV, and it is Thursday, the 22nd of April, 2021. It is Quarantine Convos, kings and queens, and we have a beautiful conversation with a very beautiful sister, specially waiting for you. Yes, indeed. So as you come through, make sure you hit up the like button, yeah? The like button affiliate, you know, see it? Like button strictly, yeah. Share the video far and wide, yeah. Yard and foreign kick up, yeah. Search for Got Kings and Queens and check out gotkushtv.com. Make sure you sign up to the mailing list and all of these things, kings and queens. Without further ado, let me introduce you to my co-host for Quarantine Convos every Thursday, kings and queens. She is a relational evolution coach, a birthing doula, and all kind of different things, kings and queens. She goes by many talents, you know what I'm saying, you know, in many job descriptions. I want to introduce you to the one and only Sister Mutt. Greetings, Sister Mutt.
Love the introduction. All them kind of things, yeah.
All them things.
You know what it is? I'm really glad I'm not the only one. When the credits come on, I'm going. I thought I was alone.
You are the rhythm sweet. You are the rhythm sweet. So we give thanks. Yeah, man. We give thanks for rhythm. We give thanks for backbone, and we give thanks for waistline. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. How are you, sis?
Yeah, it's been a turbulent week with all the news that we've had. We can't ignore that. There has been a mini victory for us today that we can certainly speak about, but we do need to acknowledge the verdict. So I'll leave that to you, brother.
Well, as them say, you know, like this was like it was almost a trial of the century. The world was watching, you know, as Derek Chauvin was faced trial, the charges of second-degree murder, which is the highest charge. I can't remember what the official titles of the other two were. But he was found guilty on all three charges. And the reality is, nobody, like, you really didn't know which way this was going to go. Like, you kind of half expect him to get off. But at the same time, I think people realize that when it comes to the system, they took the calculation that really and truly, this one was way too watched all around the world, and it looked too obvious. And it was the fact that basically, if they did not charge this man as guilty, the place like a bun down, yeah, and not just in America, right? Not just in America. So I do believe that they took the calculated risk that, you know, they're gonna sacrifice that one, yeah, because we can't really defend it too tough. And these people are in the vibes that they're gonna put it down. So you know what I'm saying? So yeah,
I think you're right. I do. The only other side from that, on some level, is there's a couple of things. I mean, anybody who watched the end of the trial could see there was absolutely zero remorse from this person. Yeah, absolutely zero, nothing going on. Yeah, no apology. You know what? He's not even sorry he got caught. Yeah. So, and also he does have a history of incidents. So this is the one he got charged for. You understand what I'm saying? So it is a victory on one hand. But in the scheme of things, it's not like he's going to be, in an open setting with the other inmates. He's going to have a protective cushion around him in that environment. So I don't know how much he's going to feel. He might end up passing away in there, but I don't know how much he's going to have time to reflect.
Well, put it this way, them say sentencing in 8 weeks, yeah. So we're going to see how lenient the judge is, because based upon what I've heard, he can get anything from 12 to 40 years, right? So we'll see how it goes. But the question has been, is this justice? And my answer is a firm no. The system is still the system, and if there ever was going to be a stay on your toes, yeah, a reality check, we got one within minutes of the verdict being announced, because another shooting of another princess, 16-year-old, was announced with video, and this one is tearing me up, not only because it's a 16-year-old, but because of the circumstances surrounding it. So many of us are in this on this thing about where she didn't have a knife, where she looked like she stabbed Smaddy, and if she didn't stab the Smaddy, then we would have said something rare. And I'm saying, as far as I'm concerned, you've got a trained police officer who they're trained to de-escalate situations. There were many other options, as far as I can tell, other than giving the young princess 4 shots in her midsection, in her chest. Yeah, and 4 shots is going to kill 9 out of 10 people. You know what I'm saying? So you shot to kill. And rather than shoot to incapacitate, or you know what I'm saying, it's one thing when you say I shot her in the, let's say you shot her in the leg, and you say I tried to incapacitate her, but it hit her artery and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might have an argument for that, right? But you shoot 4 in the chest, you're aiming to kill, and that's why you got a taser and all these things. But beside that, it's a 16-year-old girl, even
15. Yeah,
well, I heard 15, but I heard her mum speaking, and her mum said 16. So I'm going with 16.
Go by the mama. Go by the mama.
She was there, you know what I mean? Right?
For real.
So I'm saying, what I'm saying is, whatever the circumstance, whether she was wrong, right, or indifferent, whatever brought the situation to that point, that she had a knife and was looking to stab somebody, it's unfortunate, and it is tragic. I have no I don't feel a desire to justify and mitigate police action. I don't feel it. Yeah, I have, when it comes to it, I don't have it within me to try and, well, maybe this one they got right. I don't have that argument in me to pick the dead. Yeah, and I think it's, love to her life, and giving thanks for her life, and strength to her family, and all of these things.
I think you do. I think it's important for people to. I managed to watch some footage, and the footage I watched was from his body cam in slow motion. And when you see it from his body cam in slow motion, that's intense.
Well, I saw somebody who did the mathematics, and from the time he got on the scene to the time he bust the first shot, it was 22 seconds. Yeah.
I don't know if you heard. I don't know if you heard also, but when it actually happened, there's some footage. I'll have to send it to you. But there's some footage where the police officers are saying "Blue Lives Matter."
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. So there's a whole. This is yet to be. Given the the real the depth of conversation, but yeah, and then on top of that, just to add insult to injury to all of this, yeah, it's obviously Stephen Lawrence's, Stephen Lawrence's day, yeah. So again, we have to commemorate that. So much loss, so much grief. You understand what I'm saying? It's just it's a constant, yeah. It's like we're dealing with this constant push.
Yeah, man.
However, today, yeah, we did have, I would say, a small victory, and this is the government apologizes over failure to commemorate Black and Asian troops. Yeah. So there was a documentary that David Lammy put out, which was around. It was called Unremembered.
Yeah.
And so here we are talking about today was Unremembered, the African First World War Soldiers Without a Grave. How a 2019 documentary helped spark an inquiry into missing war graves of soldiers from the British Empire. Yeah. So now we're looking into how David Lammy played the clip Unremembered in 2019 documentary investigating the hundreds and thousands of missing war graves of soldiers from the British Empire, which helped spark the Commonwealth War Graves Commission investigation. And there's a conversation that's happening in Kenya around that. A lady called Michelle Barrett, she did the report, commissioned this report, and so take that.
Man. That's very interesting. I want to send a shout out on that point to people like Selena Carty of Black Poppy Rose, people like Sister Michelle Ya Santewa, people like brother his name's gone out of my head for some reason. Black History Walks. Why is the brother's name gone out of my head? It'll come back to me in a second. I've just had a senior moment. What's it called? But just Black History Walks as an organization. Anyway, these are people that have been highlighting the history of the Black veterans. Yeah.
Yes.
For years and in some cases decades. Yeah. So yeah, man.
Robin Walker.
No, it's not Robin Walker. It's not Robin Walker. It's not. That's he was associated with Black History Studies, but Black History Walks is Tony Warner.
That's it.
Yeah. How can I forget Tony Warner? Tony Warner, brother Tony Warner. Yeah.
There we are. We got there.
That's it. Yeah. So So basically, those people have been flagging it up in our community for a long time, and I find it interesting. I'm one of them people that I'm kind of hot and cold when it comes to not the remembrance of the Black veterans, but I always want to put it into context because the society, British society, looks like it wants to embrace us, yeah, and sanitize itself in the embracing of us. And no matter how much of us took part in it, because we were colonized by the British at the time, that is the context, yeah, in which our grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents, in some instances, were conscripted into these wars under colonization. You have to remember that too, yeah. But these wars were unjust wars, and oftentimes they were fighting over the colonial spoils. They were fighting over who was going to get the most colonial spoils, and each of those colonizers, drafted people that they colonized into their army to fight for them, right? You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to let Britain off the hook, that they can recognize us and we say, yes, we fought for Queen and country, and go like it was a good thing. It weren't, right? You know what I'm saying? And so whilst we honor our ancestors, and because a lot of them fought because they felt like on the other end of it, they were going to get greater freedom. They were going to get independence. You know what I'm saying? They were going to get justice in certain cases for certain injustices. And it never did go so. Yeah. When they got back to wherever they got back to, it was colonization and Jim Crow and lynching and our kind of different things. So I hope that we remember that and don't get caught up in Babylon trying to give us a little pat on the back. You know what I'm saying? But respect to our ancestors.
That's true. There's definitely truth in it. I think we need to be able to use this to our advantage.
Right.
Yeah. Given this whole report came out, this just wipes that report clean. Yeah. Right. So, we'll take a win where there's a win.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Let's take the win on this. We've had a tough week. Let's take that win.
Yeah. On that note, family, we're gonna get into today some matters to do with self-care. Yeah, I'm saying self-love, and let's give yourself a hug right now. Let's embrace yourself, you know what I mean? Because we're going to get into all of that today, kings and queens, of our guests. But before we do that, as usual, we deal with the proverb for the day. So go ahead, Sister Mo.
Yes. Now, this is the work that she does is very much around the freedom or engaging people in those transitions, those changes in our lives. Yeah. And she's a support, an assisting presence in people's freedom phase in their life, right? So the proverb for this evening, which is quite well known, but it certainly applies where this sister elder is concerned, is if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so this sister is bridging the gap from the transitions that you have to really feel the freedom of it. And with that, we seek to introduce ABI OSHO. You're on mute.
So I was saying ABI OSHO.
Okay, ABI OSHO.
So we're gonna really All right, 1 second. Greetings and welcome to ABI OSHO.
Greetings, family. ABI OSHO, you remembered. Wonderful to be here.
Thank you for being there with us, sis. You know, it is a pleasure. As you know, we've been centering the themes of health and wellness throughout our Quarantine Convos conversation, and we know that this is your speciality because you are regarded as a coach in this arena. So, for those who may not know who you are, let's give a brief introduction to our viewers.
Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for having me. My name is ABI OSHO. And I am a holistic empowerment coach, a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm an emotions mentor, an essential oils educator, and really all things that come from nature, all things that empower us because we are nature people. That's where I'm at. And that's the message that I want to share with as many brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, cousins as I can that are melanin rich.
I'll tell you a funny story, family. I was at an event with Sister Abby once, and I was holding my son, and my son reacted to her so well that that somebody thought ABI OSHO was the mother of my child. You know what I'm saying? So I took it as a compliment too, and I think you should too. But just in case I did have to clear it up, you know what I'm saying? Because no problems of the combo, no problems. But yeah, that was a beautiful moment. It's funny still.
Beautiful.
Right. So yes, so I mean, now I want to start back with this here because on your website here, which is on your tag at the moment, so Melanin, you talk about how you was working. In what field again? Before you got into your current path, what you was working where and doing what?
Yeah, so before I got into the path I'm in now, which was 7 years ago, I worked. I guess it was a medium-sized organisation, and my whole focus was working with young people and that have been excluded from school or had some kind of challenges in terms of the education arena. And I worked with adults that were unemployed, looking for work, and wanted to get employment from that. And my crazy days. So I lived in Croydon at the time, and my head office was in Birmingham. So the journey that I did, was and I had about 160 staff. I had around 8 centres from London all the way up to the East Midlands and in Dublin, and my children were quite small then, and it was like a 24/7 job, which I loved for many years, because my whole thing about doing what I did then, when I look back, was when I started working there was only 23% of our staff that were melanin rich. However, you can imagine the amount of young people and adults coming through our doors. They were all melanin rich, and they weren't reflecting that. So I was challenged all the time, but I had a real focus and mission on employing black men, because black boys needed to see black men. And at that time, I had an all-white board, an all-white male board. I was the only black female in that particular position. And it was a constant battle. It was a constant battle. And I would see the disparity. I would see the disparity between, a Caucasian young man coming for an interview, no questions asked. But when I invited my melanin rich brothers to interviews, a checklist would come out. Anyway, that's a whole nother situation. But when I left that organization, I was there for many years, and I worked hard and I built it up. I left and there was 68% black brothers and sisters. that were working in that environment. And I say that was the legacy that I left, because I had to teach them that they didn't really want to be taught, my board. They didn't want to hear. But what they noticed was when our brothers saw our young brothers, attainment levels went up. The rate of attendance went up, because suddenly we were seeing you know, and it wasn't about the qualifications so much. It wasn't about the apprenticeship. It was about the reflection that we were seeing in our own mirror. So in that, I got to a stage where, you know, these are government funded contracts. And when it got to the stage where I felt that what was happening was the money was coming in, but our young people, our young princesses and princes, it wasn't geared towards them. And my heart told me, I can't be in this anymore. I can't be in this anymore, you know? So in the end, I set myself up. I was consulting in education for a while, but it was still the same game. And I got burnt out, and I just thought, you know what? I've given this like 17 years of my life. It's time to move on. And it was a really tough decision, because when you've done something for so long, you don't realize, but you've actually become institutionalized in a way, because you kind of think, you know, what else am I going to do? I've done this for so long. But, you know, universe had another plan for me. And I came away, and, you know, I am a little bit all or nothing. And I left. I had a falling out with one of the directors that I felt wasn't treating our young people in the way that they should have been. And I remember this very vividly. He decided that he was going to, you know, ball me out on the open office floor, open planned office. And I remember I went upstairs and I burst out into tears, and I thought, why am I still here? But you know, sometimes, right, when your antagonizer becomes your benefactor, I needed that push to go. So I left with no job to go to. And I retrained. I was already coaching. I retrained in the area of clinical hypnotherapy. I was very much about emotions and, you know, how we connect or how we disconnect from our emotions. And, you know, we empower or we disempower ourselves. And I kind of knew when you leave and you've got no job to go to, you kind of have to make it work, right? It's not like you really go, oh, I can do this. No. You have to make it work. So, yeah. You know, that was kind of my starting ground, really.
Beautiful, sister. I'm gonna deflect here slightly 1 second, because we did neglect to just touch on something at the beginning of the show. So forgive me for doing this right now, but we do want to remember our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Lucia, and so on and so forth. We had a beautiful show on Monday, just gone, where we were talking to brothers and sisters in St. Vincent, in Barbados, and in the UK, who are leading in the relief effort. Now, we did share some information at that point, during that show, which today is the last day for this round of drop-offs, if you want to do anything, but there is still time, so if you would like to you know, get in touch with the brothers and sisters anywhere, Birmingham, London, Tidworth, and all these things, feel free to do so using the information on the screen right about now. Take a screenshot, or, you know what I'm saying, you can, you know, go back a few seconds, but do so. It's they're receiving things up until 9:30, and the list of things, please don't go outside the list, because it's very specific. They're working brothers and sisters on the ground, and also the regional community, CARICOM, the islands, are also bringing things in. Like, so we don't want no water coming from London, for example, because Grenada and St. Lucia and Jamaica Islands and Trinidad are taking care of that. So please check that out, family. And just for any celebrities that might be watching, Brother Martin J did inform us of this particular drive. They're looking to send 6 monthly container shipments, but these are some people that contribute when you have, you know, your 6-figure income, and, you know what I'm saying, and your big platforms in terms of being well known in the community. So feel free to check out this information as well. Just wanted to, you know, perform this correct duty and remind you of the brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And man, let's stay on the thing, because volcanic eruptions and the effects of them don't go away. immediately. Family, do you know what I'm saying? And so we're going to have to be there for our people. And with that, we're going to get back into our show. Understanding at the same time, I was speaking to a sister yesterday who's from Montserrat, one of my good friends from Montserrat, and she was saying, you know, she can't even watch a lot of the stuff, that about St. Vincent, because obviously there was a massive volcano eruption in the 90s in Montserrat, and that was, you know, it's significantly worse in terms of the level of the eruption, but also there was a lot of loss of life. And you know, she was a child at the time. She said, you know, you can't unsee certain things, and so which brings us back to our guest today in terms of this idea of self-care, right? And being able to take care of the self. I want to know from you, Sister Abby, what does that mean? Like, what does self-care mean?
So I actually say that self-care is your spiritual health care. Right. And what I believe self-care to mean is you as an individual actually connecting inwards, not looking outwards at what's going to take care of you. How are you going to take care of yourself? How are you going to take care of your emotional self? How are you going to take care of your physical self? How are you going to keep yourself in balance? And that could be different for different people. So when I think about the words empowered means, you know, you have authority, you have freedom, you have control of your life. But when you put 3 letters in front of that word, it becomes disempowered, and you're depriving yourself of power. You feel unimportant, and you are giving away your authority. So when you look at that and you think about self-care, how many of us are disempowered without even realizing it, constantly giving away our power, constantly being deprived of power, feeling unimportant, but kind of almost keeping that locked inside. So, you know, self-care is, I think, different for many people, and I've talked about this for many, many years. I would say probably in the last 3 to 4 years, the terminology has been bandied around a lot more. But really, self-care is how you connect back to yourself internally. You know, and that could be, for some people, that might be prayer, it may be meditation, it may be music, it may be quiet time, it may be using your essential oils, it might be walking in nature, grounding, all of these things. It might be somebody just listening into something like this tonight. You know, you've been on Zoom all day, you've got reports, you've got this manager telling you that, you've got that manager telling you that, and then you come onto a show like this, and you give yourself that hour and a half time, you know, you shut yourself off from everything and you tune in and you focus, because this information is food. This is verbal nutrients. All of that to me is also part of your self-care regime. So however it is that you feed yourself with knowledge, you know, or feed yourself emotionally, all of that comes under that umbrella of self-care. And each one of us can do something. There are 1,440 minutes in a day. Surely you can take 10 or 15 minutes of that day to care for self.
Yes. Give thanks for that, Sister Mott.
Yeah, and I just want to go back a little bit, because there was a transition from when you went from work, you know, like the work you do is a lot of it's about transitions and change. And you know that the only thing constant is change. So your work is described as someone who ushers in the different changes and phases that people are maybe going through. And so, you know, a lot of people here might be in a 9-to-5, maybe in a difficult situation. And of course, there's the whole thing with the lockdown situations, you know, in and out, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And I suppose what's important for people to know is you went from a workspace, which was, you know, like you say, got burnt out. And you talked about going into hypnotherapy briefly. But, you know, what took you there? Like the work that you do is clearly the work that you've done on you.
Yes.
So I would ask, and for our audience, you know, tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So I'm going to take you way back. So I was a child. I was brought up, I was fostered. I was a child that was in care. I didn't live with my parents.
Okay.
And so from a very young age, I was fostered when I was 3 months old. So I was a baby. And I think from a very young age, when you're in the system, when you're fostered or, you know, you're actually in the system, there's always this fear of being taken away and moved somewhere else. There's this constant fear factor. So layered on top of that, I was fostered outside of London. So I was fostered in an all-white area.
Right.
So I had no cultural surroundings at all around me. So this was in, you know, the late 60s, early 70s. Racism was at its was rife. So most days when I went to school, you know, I would be called nigger. I'd have banana skins thrown at me. Go back, you jungle bunny. And this happened every day, every single day. Painful, but you have to almost, you put a barrier around yourself. Because if you don't put that barrier around yourself, you're going to be bullied. Yeah. So you put it around yourself as if it doesn't matter, as if you don't really care. But you do. And all of that emotion, all of that turmoil is being buried every day, every day, every day. It was a constant for many, many years. And I think going through that as a young child, you know, being told, I guess at the age of, my first memory was when I was on a bus and this old white man, as I got up with my foster mum, she wiped the seat and she said, oh, you know, there was crumbs. But I noticed it a few times, and what they were saying was, oh, you know, all colour people are really dirty, so we need to just clean the seat before we sit down. But in your formative years, when this is happening before you're 7 years old, you have no logic filter, so you take that as truth. So as I was growing up, I always felt that I was less than, because that's what I'd heard from a very young age, and there was nobody to filter out that untruth. And the reason why I say that, and I speak about it openly now, is for many years, I never spoke about it because I was embarrassed, and I always felt that people were going to judge me based on where I came from. So I'd never share it because I was embarrassed and I was fearful of judgment. But I would say in the last 10 years, you know, going back to what you were saying, Sister, probably longer than that, the work that I've actually done on myself has enabled me to share this story and speak to many other people that have had very challenging experiences in the care system that don't speak about it for fear of judgment. So I'm the person around the table that will now, if somebody is having those conversations, I'll bring, this was where I was from, you know, and this is where I'm at now, because I think it's important that people understand that trajectory. And I think from those experiences, I was always in some kind of transition. And the work that I had to do on myself and the therapy that I had to have to get myself to a certain level, I knew was powerful. But I also knew in those circles, when I was having, there were not many Black faces in those circles, you know, in terms of therapies. It's different now. It's much, much better now. But it wasn't then. So the kind of work I feel that I kind of, you know, I went into, I think working with the young people was in care and all of those things was a reflection of where I'd come from as a young person. And I think my focus and my gravitas at seeing the harm that it can be done when you're not culturally aware, when you're pulled away from your culture, is it can be life-changing for people, and it can hold so many people in a place. And I've spoken to many people. I wouldn't call it interview, but I've interviewed in the last 10 years many people that have been in the care system that have been very, very challenged, that have been in the care system and have been brought up outside of London in primarily white dominant areas. And now they've got their own children and they've shut down. They can't talk about that part of their life because it's too painful. So for me, it's about being able to help them to get back the voice that's in there and work through some of that emotional trauma. Because we know that emotional trauma, generational trauma, is passed down for 7 generations. So for me, it's about how do I disrupt that? How do I allow stuff to come to the surface in a safe space so that people feel that they can talk about this without judgment, but it's also a healing journey. So it's a bit of a long-winded answer, but I wanted to put it into context because that's why I believe that's why I do the kind of work that I do now with my people.
Powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I think, you know, we were speaking beforehand, and I always find, you know, I'm very fussy about who coaches me, coming from the field that I do. You know, they talk about a healer needs a healer, a coach needs a coach. You know, and it's important. A lot of people don't understand the power of coaching. They just don't get it. Yeah, coaching is taking you from A to B without the drama. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what coaching is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have to do a lot of work before you get to from A to B. You can't skip it. You can't move around it. There's no way. You got to go through it.
You got to go through it.
Yeah. And I always find that the best coaches, you know, I often will select the coaches in my life and the people to influence me then. Yeah, in the world of influence, if I am to be influenced at all, it's by their story. Yeah. And I always find the best coaches have that depth of story. I know I've got my own. Don't worry, everyone. The book will come. But the bottom, but I also recognize that it's like, you know, from pain to power. And a lot of people don't understand the nature of taking that pain and turning it into power and transcending that. And so maybe it's also about maybe from where you're standing, you know, if you listen to your story, you might find that, you know, again, this could, and you know, trigger warning, this could potentially trigger somebody having this conversation about care. Yeah. So it's also recognizing that there are milestones and how gentle we have to be with us, with ourselves in the process.
Absolutely.
And I think if for anyone who doesn't really understand what coaching is, you know, please share what that's like and how it transitions you, which is very different from counseling, extremely different.
Yes. Yeah. So coaching, like you said, is very different from counseling. And it is about, you know, where you are in your life right now. And I'm working with a number of incredible melanin rich sisters. And we look at where you are in your life right now, and we look at where it is that you want to go. And I think a lot of the time people are a little bit lost. They're not even sure. They're not sure what they want to do. They're not sure where they want to go. They kind of know that they don't want any more of what they've got, but they don't know how to get out of it. And, you know, we know that we each hold the answers from within, but sometimes when there's blockages there and you've subdued information from childhood trauma or for whatever it might be, from a workplace incident, doesn't matter. It's about being able to unravel that. But the unraveling can take the time, and sometimes that's the fear I think that people have is, you know, what am I going to look like when I start to unravel? But when you're, I think, in a safe space, when you're peeling back those layers of the onion and you're starting to reconnect with yourself, particularly when you start to reconnect with that creative part of yourself. Because one thing I think as melanin rich people is we have this innate creativity. And, you know, I think the Western world dumbs that down very early on in our lifetime so that we don't see it as value. But there comes a time in your life when you start to really reflect on where you are in your life and where it is you want to get to. And it's almost like that creativity. You can sort of see the seeds start to spark up again. But you as an individual potentially don't allow it. You just want to keep them where they are because you're trying to keep that status quo. But that's what I call that energetic voice, that frequency that we all have, which carries within our melanin. It doesn't get quieter. It gets louder as we grow and as we mature, to the point where it starts shouting at you, you know, and you're looking behind you thinking, where's that voice? The voice is in here. It's just got louder. So when you start to make those connections, you know, in the world of coaching that I come from, and I kind of see that growth with you, and I see, you know, the voice start to penetrate and the voice start to gain focus and kind of credibility in self, then I know you're on your journey, and I know that you've actually started to accept who you are as an individual. And a lot of it starts, the transformation starts with accepting you, warts and all. Yeah, because we've all got our little idiosyncrasies. But when you start to accept who you are and you work with a coach, so me, I guess I might work in a slightly different way than other people because I am about empowering you. I am about recognizing your strengths. We're all told about our weaknesses, but, you know, in my mind, what is the point sometimes of trying to strengthen those weaknesses that you have when you've got these incredible strengths and gifts? Strengthen your gifts and make them magnificent. Because that's the way you're going to tell your story. That's the way you're going to share your story. And those were the gifts that the Creator gave you. So all you're doing is honing in on that. And that's what I love to do. I love to hone in on the gifts that you have and really expand those out, open it out wide, you know, and just help you to connect with becoming visible. Because many of us want to be in these spaces, but we are afraid of becoming visible. We want to sit behind the screen, or, you know, we want to come onto Zoom and have the we don't want to be seen. But really, when you think about what is that doing to your psyche, what is that invisibility doing to your psyche? You're telling yourself, I want to be invisible. Yeah, so there's a subconscious message there about being invisible. And again, this goes back, this is where we are now. But when you think about where we've come from and what we've been through generationally, yes, there were times when we absolutely wanted to be invisible because it wasn't worth our while being visible because of the abuse and the trauma that we'll be facing. But these times and where we are now, we need to be our own lighthouses and we need to have that visibility. And we need to show our children, the ones that are coming up, we need to show them that through our voice, we give them voice. Yeah, that's what we want to kind of break. So I guess I have my own style of coaching based on how, I don't really follow anybody's, you know.
It's organic.
I've got the bit of paper, but.
I know, I get it. When you're doing this work, you have to end up tuning in, you know, it's heart work.
Yes.
So you have to tune into people from a heart level.
Yes.
You can't be, there's no script. Yeah.
Yes, sister.
They are, that what they're coming to you with is the script.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, if anyone has never had coaching before, I would at least encourage you to at least have one session. It is totally different from anything you've ever done before. Yeah. You often never go back. Once you take up coaching and compared to some of the other work that gets done, CBT, if anybody knows, CBT is similar in terms of cognitive behavioral therapy, has got a similar outcome in terms of taking you from here to there. Yeah. But I think when you're dealing with people's what they're dealing with, you tune in. Sometimes you just know. It's like a download. You just know. Yeah. You can't explain it. You can't write it. You can't quantify it. You can see I call it, you know, when they talk about, I suppose, unconscious competence.
Yes.
So in my field, that's how I work. I'm very much about training people to know it before they even have to do it. Yeah. Before you have to do it, you know it. Now my job is done, like Mary Poppins. Yeah. Just stop.
A spoonful of sugar and all these things.
There are. A spoonful of molasses.
Molasses with some chia seeds.
Molasses, you know.
Go on, Shaka, go.
Family. So I want to bring it to current matters, Sister Abby. Yeah. By the way, so before I do that, let me just look at the chat. I've neglected the brothers and sisters in the chat, you know. Poor thing. I'm not even look upon the wall and the show and all them something there. Yeah, so we got Roots Madiak TV. We got Sister Kanaya in the place. Tell them where I'm, my sister. And yes, thank you for trying to rescue me, although I haven't seen it until now. But with Tony Warner, my senior moment there. She also says, powers to Sister Abby. She says, AGA Tours, greetings and welcome. Says, rise up.
Oh, that's my sister Angie Rose. Indeed.
Oh,
Sister Angie inside the building. Rise up, Sister Abby. Salman Creative says, just finished work and I came in. Family. Hi, Sister Abby. Hi, Got Kush TV. Greetings and welcome. And we appreciate you too, my brother. I'm assuming it's brother because your name's Salman and not Salman. So yeah. Big up to Marcia Reed. Big up to my brother. Everything is everything over there in the United States of America. You know what I'm saying? I won't say what I said on the social media after the verdict, but on should I did
I saw that.
I did go on with some things anyway, regardless of it is. What's it? Let's move on, right? So yes, it's obviously we're in a lockdown. Yeah, 1 minute we're in a hard lockdown, then semi-lockdown, and we just wait for lockdown for this end right now. Especially because enough people want to leave out the country and all them something there, and we're wondering about vaccination and mandatory this and holy testing. We cost £150 for tests and all that. All kind of stupidness, right? And all kind of different things. So there's a lot of pressure. We've discussed this in relation to on previous shows, but people's mental health, is a great concern, at the moment. I'm not sure how active you have been in this period, right? Because obviously a lot of things have been up in the air. But what kinds of impressions have you gotten, and what kind of guidance can you give people in terms of managing, now and the conditions and the situations of the now?
Yeah, great question. So one of the things that I created in lockdown and started it summer of last year. So I do these Empowering You Grounding Sister Circles out in nature. And at the beginning, I was told I couldn't do them because of the lockdown rules, etc. But I read through the guidance, and within that guidance, there were two particular sections that allowed me as a therapist to work with groups of people up to 15 in terms of support groups. So long as it wasn't in my home, I could do it outside. So I found this amazing venue where, we have a hall space, but it's 20 acres of woodland. And for me, I think the incredible thing about that is when we come together as women in that space. So this is grounding, so shoes and socks off. So we are grounding in nature, and I'm passionate. I've done this for many years, and I felt the benefits, because when you ground with Mother Nature, you are actually connecting with the electrons. You're connecting with the electrons underneath the soles of your feet. Now, we've done this every month. Even in November, they tried to kind of shut us down again. I found the new paragraphs. I sent it off to them. We carried on. I'm not giving up on this. This is too important for us as a people in terms of mental health. But what happens is when you ground to the earth, you're allowing the electrons to go through the soles of the feet, which are the reflex points of the body that points all over the body. And just that kind of, you get that electric current. The best time to do it is when the grass is damp, when you've got that damp dew in the morning, or when it's been raining. You really get the power of the charge. However, what you're doing is you're helping to reduce your stress and anxiety. It helps reduce cortisol levels. You're also helping yourself if you're an insomniac, if you struggle to sleep. It can help with chronic pain. It can help to balance hormones. This is all from Mother Earth. And it's just a really, really powerful thing to do. Now, I've been doing these events, people come, they call them mini retreats. I probably have anything between 6 and 12 women. We're starting our first men's one in July. But they're amazing for if you really want to switch off. And what I say is, when you come, you unplug from the grid and you plug into nature, because we are nature being. We are the first people, right? We're the first people here. We come from nature. That is within us. The melanin that makes us up is all about nature. So when we reconnect with nature, it's powerful for us. When we're quiet, when we're silent. And the way that without going into too much detail, the day's from 12 till 4:30. It always finishes late because nobody ever wants to go home. But what we really do is we connect, and we go, we're down in the valley, we're up on the top of the hill, and underneath your feet, depending on where you are energetically, because everything is frequency, So depending on where you are in that 432 megahertz of natural healing energy, your frequency will be different and it will change. And it's about you reconnecting to that and understanding what that feels like, and kind of really getting back into your own zone. I think it's a wonderful way to take care of self. Now, I also recognize that some people are shielding. Some people may not be able to do that. So if you're not able to do that, even if you've got even if you can get a stone, even like a piece of flint that you'll find in any kind of woodland or park area, and you take that home with you, you know, and you just connect to that stone. You connect with your intention. You may decide you want to use some essential oils. You might be someone that likes crystals, yeah, which is, again, it's power, it's energy, it's frequency. So you can do this in your home. It isn't as powerful, I admit, as actually connecting when your shoes and socks are on the ground, but it is another way that you can ground. So, you know, it doesn't mean that you can't do it just because you can't get to these open areas, or, you know, you can't get to a park or a piece of green. And you need, literally, you know, you could stand on one slab of grass, you know, that big, and you'll still be connected.
Yeah, give thanks for that, sis. You know, and it connects to something that one of our previous guests, Sister Teresa Hatchett, was saying in terms of connecting with nature. And it's easy to overlook the importance of that, especially when you're living in a concrete jungle like London, you know what I'm saying? But to find you know, natural spaces, it's very unnatural to be so disconnected from grass and trees and all these things. So yeah, it's and you don't realize it properly, like, until you know, like when I went to Jamaica and we was doing the yoga retreat, you kind of you appreciate these things even more.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You know, so we give thanks. But it kind of relates, though, sis, to your book. We're going to touch on that very quickly. You have a book, and the book is entitled Nature's Medicine for the Soul, a guide on living your abundant life naturally using the essential gifts from the earth. Yeah. So this is the book, family, and you can get it at soulmelanin.com. But just give us an insight into what the book is about, sis.
Okay. So the book is really about it's about connecting back to self. It's all about self-care. I talk a lot. I've been an avid essential oil user for the last 30 years, and many people that are that I know that are on here now know me from essential oils, because they are plant-based medicine. They're the immune system of the plant. It's the powerhouse of the plant. So when you're taking that in its purest state, you're going to feel the power of the plants. But I go into detail and I talk about, you know, how we can use different forms of plant-based medicine to help to heal us, and all sorts of things. So I talk about how to reduce pain and inflammation. I talk about your emotional balance. I talk about hormone balance. I talk about hair loss, and just the things that sisters mainly and brothers, some have brought to me over the years. Those are the areas that I'm talking about. But I give you some specific tools that you can utilize to go away and work on self. I talk also about some of my experiences and how I managed to kind of connect with myself, and, you know, the meditation process and what that might look like for you. And they're really small chapters. When I get feedback, people say, yeah, I got my highlighter pen out and I highlighted bits, because the way that I wrote the book was, I know we're all really busy people. So yeah, some people will read the book cover to cover. Other people will just dip in and out. So if you've got something going on with you emotionally that day, or, you know, you're feeling like you're getting maybe a cough or a cold, or you're feeling under the weather, because I talk about lots of different things, then you can just go and look it up. Right, these are the 2 pages that I need to work on today. This is what I want. And then you're good to go. So it's that kind of book that can be shared through the whole family. And it is on my website, like you said, and, you know, I sign it with some nice uplifting, empowering words, and I send it out to you. And it's just one of those that if you finish with it, pass it forward for somebody in the wider family or the wider community, because the information in there is kind of based on our experiences.
Right. Give thanks for that, sis. Go ahead, Sister Mo.
Yeah, thank you for that, and it takes me into thinking, about the age range of the book as well, because, you know, I look at the young people right now with all that's going on, and you were talking about your history in working with young people, and often we think about, you know, what to do for the adults and what we should do, and it's sprinkling down on our children, if you like, at times, right? But what I suppose I'd like to know is, with the work that you're doing, first of all, do you work with little people? I'm always interested in referring people, so that's cool. And do you work with little people or younger people? Because, you know, going back to what Shaka was saying about the times that we're in, the mental health of the world, the state of the world right now. Of course, the young people in society are affected by this. Yeah, you know, the teenagers, you know, primary age, you know, nursery age. I heard of I think there was a article about a month ago where you know, children are, you know, scared, as you know, young as 3, scared to leave the house because of this situation. So it's shifting young people, small people. I bumped into a parent who said, you know, her child, she was a parent from the school when my children were going to school, and it just started. You know, wasn't a melanated parent, but the parent, what was interesting is that the parent, you know how conditioned people can be, but the child themselves was, you know, already standing with their hands behind their back, in, you know, so as not to, you know, get into distance. You see these little funnies where a little child is going up to everything in the street, looking at it, holding it, you know, trying to wash their hands at it. So you've got this kind of conditioning that's happening. And you talk about nature being, you know, of importance, especially now, really. Yeah. Spring now. So that's good. Yeah. But, you know, what can young people, small people do to ground themselves? They're in environments that are toxic when it comes to school, you know, and other entities.
Yeah, absolutely. No, really great question. And sis, for me, it comes back to the same thing. If you take your children, and it's so interesting to see, when you take your child and you allow them, yes, you're going to check out the space, make sure it's safe, but you allow them to take off their shoes and socks. Watch how quickly that child connects to the earth. Watch how quickly that kind of manic anxiety reduces. Like, you see it, you literally see it. And that is the power of nature. So I would say, where possible, for parents of young children, because of what's going on in this social conditioning, they need to connect with nature even more so. They need that freedom. They need to be able to run. They need to be able to get their hands dirty, because all this conditioning of clean, 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 clean. I'm not saying that clean isn't important, but we also know that with dirt comes the buildup of your immune system, which is absolutely critical to whatever is going on right now. So it's about almost, you know, having those polar opposites. Yes, there's that cleanliness side, but let us not allow our children to forget about playtime in natural spaces, you know, playing on trees, picking up the twigs and moving the big stone. I took some, I was with a colleague of mine, and we took the children because it was half term, and they were just so happy. We went down into Kent, into the woods. They were picking up the rocks and seeing like little ants and things coming out, and they were shrilling, but they were just free. So again, you know, I talk about adults and their freedom phase, but let's not forget about our children. Let's not forget that this life has to be their freedom phase, so that they don't forget it. The other thing that I will add, I do a masterclass called Emotional Wellness for the Melanin Mind. I do it once a month. I'm just going to say, somebody's asked for my website. It's www.soulmelanin.com. But yes, I do this program, and one of the things that I talk about, because I introduced it with my children, my son's now 18, my daughter's now 22, is an emotional platform at home. And what I mean by that is certain conversations that, let's say, for instance, you know, my son might have had a really bad day at college for whatever reason, but the habit would be, you know, hi son, how you doing? Did you have a good day? Did you have a good day at college? Like, you're putting the words in. Yeah, mum, it was fine. No, it wasn't fine. But, you know, we have this, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's all good. But it wasn't all good. So I started to have conversations, and I used to have conversations with my son in the car when we were going shopping, right? That was my 15 minutes. I put music on, wasn't really my kind of music, but he loved it. right? And that was our time. And so I'd be like, okay, son, so what's going on? He's like, why, mum, you know what? And then he'd start telling me certain things that he wasn't really telling me coming through the door. And that got me thinking, you know what? I need to, as a parent, I need to recognize that I'm not coming in the house, which is what I was always doing, saying, oh yeah, everything's fine. So I would start having those conversations and say, you know what, this happened today and this is how it made me feel. I was so annoyed. I felt really frustrated. I had to kind of like breathe it out because I thought, you know what, I just need to get rid of this energy out of my system. And I started talking about it more. And I encouraged also my husband to do the same thing. This didn't happen. This wasn't immediate. You know, my kids would be listening, but they wouldn't be saying anything. But I was doing it to plant the seeds. And yeah, okay, you know, where we are now, we can have these conversations where we're quite honest and open about how we're feeling and what's going on. And I was really wanting to know how they felt, how lockdown was making them feel. You know, and in their teenage years, it was just like they felt like they were almost like imprisoned. It was like feeling imprisoned, and it was not a nice feeling. And interestingly, for my son, and it's interesting, isn't it? Perception of your youngers, you know, it was like, you know, mum, it's like they're conditioning us for where they want to send the black boys. And I just thought, whoa. But we would not have had those conversations. If I hadn't have nurtured that work, and if it's younger children, I would say maybe with younger children that they don't have the vocabulary yet. They don't know how to express themselves. But maybe you can. There's really wonderful cards that you can buy that are kind of, you know, all different culture cards, and it just shows different looks on their face when they're sad, when they're happy, when they're frustrated. And at first, all they're doing is pointing and saying, "I feel like that card." And then you as a parent can say, well, what is that card? And you can explain to them that feeling and find out where they're feeling that, you know, and then, okay, what can we do to kind of lift that feeling? So, and these are things that you don't have to be a therapist or a psychologist or anything to do. These are just things that you can engage with your children in a way that feels right for you. But know that just by doing that, just by connecting with them in that way, you are sharing empathy with them every single day. You're setting up a new neurological pathway that brings that into their life, and they will start to pass that forward even without realizing it, because subconsciously, this is what you've been programming them to do whilst all of this craziness is going on around them. So you're giving them their own grounding bubble, excuse the pun, bubble, but you're giving them their own grounding bubble, you know, within the space that you're in, and making it the best that you can.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that, my sister. Thank you for that. Kings and Queens, we are allowing you to come live with Sister ABI OSHO. If you want to, feel free to do so, all right? So ask your questions. Just say, bless up, wagwan, me like how you smile and all them something there. You know what I'm saying? Feel free to do so, Kings and Queens. If you want to ask questions, you want some advice, yeah? Or anything, feel free to do so, yeah? The link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. And if you don't want to come live and let us hear your beautiful African voices, do feel free to type, yeah? Type in the chat if you have a question. We've got one already, and I think that's been answered. You know what I'm saying? What is the website? And interestingly enough, the website's been on the screen for the whole show, Kings and Queens. You know what I'm saying? It's you know, observation is key, Kings and Queens. You know what I'm saying? Be observant in this life. You know what I mean? Like,
it's all good.
Give thanks. Sister Kenaya is sending you some love, Sister Abby.
Yes, my queen, Sister Kenaya. Amazing lady. Good to see you here.
Yes, indeed. Gemma says, shout out, that's Got Kush TV. Yeah, so you know what I mean? We don't want to confuse the thing, you know. Got Kush, not just Kush. Yeah, Got Kush. Can we have it? Yeah, TV. And my beautiful sister Abby, thank you for what you do to educate, elevate our people. Blessings to you,
Sister
all.
Gemma. Big shout out to Sister Gemma. So this particular sister, she comes to my grounding events every single month. And when I started, she is there every single month. That's her connection. And this sister does some amazing work with young people. It was the school that was recently on the news where they were boycotting because of the racism that was happening.
The Pimlico. Yeah. Yeah, that the afro obstructing, hair not obstructing other students' view. That one.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Big up to Big up to
Yeah, that's where that sister does her work.
So I just want to go back.
1 second to say, just want to I'll give it a shout out the super chats, yeah. We got everything is everything. Sending a $5, which is about £2.15 sterling. You know what I'm saying? For the translation.
Yeah,
so we give time.
Every
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, all these things. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just impressing upon the brothers and sisters across the pond that England is the big daddy when it comes to the Western imperialism. You know, because they still have the strong currency, even though they ain't been a superpower.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
I remember a joke from Chris Rock where he said he went to the bank. When he came over to England, he went to the bank. And he gave them, a wad full of notes, and they gave him back a loaf full of bread, a loaf of bread. That's how I'm stripping this. All right. So yeah, family, that's why I know them thing there. You get me? So shout out to, what I'm saying, the Bank of England and all these things. All right. Something cool that. As I said, the link is in the chat, family. The link is in the chat if you want to come through and interact with myself, Sister Mut, and Sister ABI OSHO. And one more thing, Dr. Sankofa says, big up Shakara, Sister Mo, and the lioness ABI OSHO, Got Kush TV #1 for real. You don't know. Give thanks, family. Go ahead, Sister Mo.
Just going back to what you were saying there, I mean, what it really kind of your conversation is seeped in, and not everybody would maybe even agree with the way in which you are communicating with your adult children. I mean, they are adult children after all, and so and at the same time I recognize it, that dialogue between, especially, I don't know how it is for you, but I know my son is a 21-year-old. Yes. I can't wait for the other ones to get to I tell you what it is. For me, I know that there's you're a parent, and then when they hit that point, and it might be 18, it might be 19, it might be slightly earlier, but you get to a point where you stop being a parent and you become a guide.
Absolutely.
And that gives you get to relax in your parenting at this point.
Yes.
And so when you share about what you're sharing about, so some people who maybe not have children that old and not even done those things with their children, be like, whoa, that's a bit out there. But what you're installing is emotional intelligence. So that, and my children have been I've been into the world of coaching for like 20 years. So my children have got it installed. Emotional intelligence is part of the language of our house. Like, are you using emotional intelligence? Is that emotional intelligence right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on it, right? So we have to check those things, because it's society, and what society's, negative thinking and a constant bombardment of the different negative narratives. You've got to be able to rise them from their own emotional stuff. They can come through the door and you not notice, that your child is having an issue. Yeah. I was watching something last night. I was watching Snowfall. If anyone hasn't seen Snowfall, it's a banger. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming like the white.
Rest in peace, John Singleton, who was the creator of that show.
Yes. Give thanks. Yes, it's a powerful show. And there was a scene I was watching last night, and this boy's gone off to do all sorts of, unsavory things. Yeah. And he's come home, and his mom is a good mom. In the world of good mothers, she's a good mom. She's come in, and she's not to know that her son is going out, selling this and X, Y, and Z. And it really, and in that moment, I really reflected, because this is all about how drugs was flooded into our community. This whole thing, right? So I was really interested, because obviously we're dealing with certain things with young people right now, what's going on around with young people. And I thought, how many children are coming home? How many of these young people are coming home? Yeah. And their parents have no idea. And when the boy comes in, the mum is not questioning in a particular way. Like, when my children are not okay, I know it immediately.
Yeah.
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 And then, I won't even necessarily say, I might say, you okay? Or, I won't even say, oh, are you okay? I'll say, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. Immediately. Yeah. They'll come to me, whatever face. I know their faces. They can wear a mask all day long if they wanted to, and I still know their face. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
So it's recognizing, you know, they talk about 90 in the world of coaching as well, which people don't know, is that they talk a lot about the 96% of our communication is in our body language.
It's in our body language. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have to remember again with all of this business. Yeah. You're cutting out.
Totally.
Vital communication to children, babies.
Yes.
And you know, and when we're talking about the times we're in with the phone,
actually, sis, you know
about benign neglect. So you got a phone in one hand and this in the next.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? My brother said to me the other day. You know, seriously, not to interrupt you, sis, just a quick thing. My brother actually said to me the other day that that a lot of the children that have been born in the last year, they're finding that they're underdeveloped. And one of the number one reasons why is because of the mask wearing.
Absolutely.
Because they obviously, babies, they learn a lot from your expressions and you speak into them. Right? So they're not learning to pick up certain expressions. So they mimic your expressions from very young, even if you're not realizing it. Right. So that's why you know this stuff in the baby's face is important, because that's how they're learning to interact. They're learning social skills, they're learning social cues. So a lot of the mask wearing is actually affecting the development of our babies at the moment. We have to be very careful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really valid point.
So it's really important, you know, when for parents, you know, if you, again, before it was a mask wearing situation, there was people, you know, women and mothers and fathers even just, you know, looking at their phone consistently. Yeah. Which people now call benign neglect, which nobody's really discussing, except we're going to see the impact of that one later on in some kind of report.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When the child, because what I do know is that children are going into nursery settings. Like the children of our generation, if we were going into nursery, we'd had like 4,000 words going in. Now children are coming in with 400 words. It's like 10% of what we come into, because no one's speaking to them.
Yeah.
At the times, at the allotted time that's there for them. It could be on the bus, it could be on the train. But what are they doing? Their child is there, they are there. And so these kind of the importance of communication, what I'm getting to in this conversation is the importance of communication. Don't underestimate it, because that is what, you know, people always often say to me, you know, when I talk about my son, they say, wow, does he tell you that? Does he tell you that? Does he? I'm like, because I'm so used to the emotional intelligence conversation, I think it's normal. Yeah, but
absolutely.
What you're saying, okay, it's like a normality, and it does take time to get to know your children, and it's never too late with young people. Yeah, especially if they're your own, to get to know them all over again. And I think the work you're doing allows people to, once you're doing this kind of work, let's say a parent who doesn't do what you do with your children, I'm sure that the work that you do allows parents, women, men, when you're doing this work, gives them a sense of freedom of self.
Yeah.
That they feel compelled on some level to share with their children. Otherwise, they too will shrink.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think you raise a really valid point there, in that when the challenge sometimes I find is because we were not shown always how to share our emotions. You know, our parents came and they had it tough. They worked really hard. Emotion sharing was not an option. It wasn't something that was discussed or spoken about. And again, it is that invisible energy, isn't it, that's passed down through the umbilical cord to the next generation. But I think where we're at now, and particularly with the mask wearing, and I think you raise a really valid point, Brother Shakra, in terms of our children not actually understanding the language of their parents, because you've not got that connection. So it's even more imperative that we teach them, and we allow them to know that it is okay to talk about your emotion. And it's in whatever form that they feel comfortable, because the language that I would use, or maybe that you would use, sis, will not be the language that our children or our teenagers or our youngers would use. Yeah, that's up to us. We need to interpret that. But it's just about giving them permission from as young as age as possible to know that it is okay to talk about that information. And it might only ever be at home that you talk about it, because when you're out there on road or when you're out there with certain people, you're not going to go down that route. Doesn't matter, because you've sown that neurological pathway, and that is going to stand them in good stead for all of their life.
Absolutely.
It will come in and out depending on where they are. But I think now more than ever, it's so important that they have that safety net, because we don't know where this is going, but we know right now that unless we look after us and our children, no one else is going to, and we shouldn't expect them to either.
Yes,
absolutely.
Give thanks for that. Let me just check. Sorry, sister. Let me just check it with
an article. Just an article that's. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to check in with the chat quickly. Sorry, I don't want to neglect the chat.
Ahead.
Yeah, sorry. What's it called? Your Adama says training and balance in emotional, logical, and instinctual intelligence. Yeah, in relation to something that was said earlier. Dr. Sankofa says the first language was sign language, or so-called sign language, and emotional intelligence is key, along with socializing and using our hands. All key for personal development, etc. He also says Ashe Sistrian, or she also says Ashe Sistrian. Society has mentally put our minds at war and pressure, and to find a way forward can be tough to stay steadfast. But for it to be possible, we must understand the terrain of environment we are in. Adama says the mask people need to take off is the social programming mask. Dr. Sankofa, each one teach one. Iron sharpnet iron. Big point, Shakara. Give thanks. They don't know, bruh. What's it called? People in the West don't know how to train the emotional and the instincts. And all right, talk up the things, dim, Sister Abby. You're going with movements. And finally, empathy, insight, unseen perception, all not given time to grow
and develop.
Sorry, Sister, but go ahead.
No, it's good. Thank you. It's good to get the feedback as we're going through. I think it's important. You know, I think that we as a people, we're intuitive community. Naturally, we are intuitive community. We're verbal people. We are oral. We are storytellers. That's where we come from. So given where we are right now, that whole kind of, storytelling part of us has been subdued for such a long time because we're fitting into an environment that doesn't feed us. But when we are having these kind of conversations, like I said earlier, this is nutrients. This is nutritious food. This is the food that we need to be eating verbally, so that we can start to understand, who we are as a people, and start to connect in a more profound way to that, because those are the gems that we want to pass on to our children. And I think one of the wonderful things that has come out of lockdown. So I'm just going to digress for a minute. I run a monthly. It's called Empowering You Holistic Coaching for Melanin Rich Women. It's a monthly group that we do online. And George Floyd was actually killed on my Earth Day. So that when that happened, something I think kind of really changed within me in terms of where I was going and the kind of things that I wanted to speak about, etc. And I, as you'll know, Sister, my name previously was Soul Medicine. That was my business name. It was Soul Medicine, because I was all about nature's medicine for the soul. However, I think I had a little bit of an awakening call. And this happened actually, and I'll share this with you, on the 13th of May 2018. And I'd actually been to a sisters empowerment group, which is like Sister Angela Roses on here, does some incredible events. I came back and I was reading a magazine, and I just had this image of just lots and lots of Black people. And I was standing up the front with some others, and we were talking about melanin, and it was really powerful, as much as it brought me to tears. And I sat down and I had to find a book. I thought, I need to find a book. I need to write it down. I need to write this down. I need to write this down. And what I saw in my mind, what I heard was melanin resurrection. And I wrote this down, May the 13th, 2018. I didn't know what it meant, but something in me moved and I knew it was something powerful. So when George Floyd happened and I was kind of rethinking and I was in real reflection mode about where I was going, I decided to change my name from Soul Medicine to Soul Melanin, because the power in everything comes from our melanin. The power of connection and spirit comes from the soul. We are all soul melanin people. And for me, when I kind of got those words in my head, it was like soul melanin movement. Here we come. You know, we're waking up. We are living and breathing our truth. And it's been a long time in the coming. The consciousness coming forward is incredible. And I just thought, you know what? I want to be out there with this name unapologetically. And I think it was kind of that point that I really started to, I was doing a lot of work beforehand, but I would say, you know, when something kind of shifts within you, and that shift just kind of opens up almost like it's like a vortex. It opens up like an energetic vortex. And so every time I see, when I come onto programs, come onto events just like this or shows like this, you know, when I listen into Andrew Muhammad or Leon Marshall, all these incredible people bringing us flavor and food, nutritious food, I'm just thinking melanin resurrection, melanin resurrection, melanin resurrection. You know, because that is, you know, we are here. And I just think this is beautiful to see. And the beauty of being able to do it across all parts of the world that bring us together as a people, nothing more powerful than that. That's the true self-care right there.
Family, last chance to come through live. If you want to come through live and interact with Sister ABI OSHO, feel free to do so, yeah. And like others have done already, you can ask your questions or make your comments in the chat. I'm going to come back to the chat in a second, but you do have an event coming up, my sister. So let's profile this event very quickly. It's the Empowering You Grounding Sister Circle, yeah. Just speak about that for a piece and let people know Wagwan and where they can, you know, how they can find out more information and all these things.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, it's the Empowering You Grounding Sister Circle. Some of my sisters on here already have been and continue to come, and I give thanks. And it is, as I said earlier, when you come to this event, it's not big groups, anything between 6 to 12 melanin rich women, and we connect. You know, we plug out of the grid. You know, the phones are kind of down, and you plug right into nature. You plug into that 432 frequency, the natural healing frequency of nature. We are in semi-ancient woodlands. And just the beauty of the place, you know, the way that we do our meditation, the use of plant-based medicines, essential oils, and really connecting to yourself and just feeling where you are right now and sitting with that feeling or standing with that feeling and understanding what it's telling you. It's a really, really powerful day. It's a really powerful day. And if you're somebody that suffers from insomnia, trust me, that night you are going to sleep like a baby. You're going to sleep like a baby. You're going to get an amazing night's sleep. So that is this Saturday coming. I've got it on my website. It's also on Eventbrite as well. For those of you that are on Instagram, can I just say on Instagram, I'm ABI, ABI _ Soul Melanin. So please connect, follow me on Instagram, find out the kind of things that I'm doing out there in the community, the little gems that I'll post in terms of where we're at. And yeah, it would be lovely to hear from some of you, definitely.
Most def. Let's get a couple of these comments in, because the people that are commenting enough since the last time. Marcia Reed says, this is how they want it. Send them to nursery as a blank card so they can input their thought and plans in their minds. And that's crazy. It must be you, the parents, that teaches your child. Excuse me. Dr. Sankofa says, can't wait to read Soul Melanin Empower You. Great discussion, family as usual. Got Kush TV #1 conscious platform. You don't know. That's what the thing got. Yes, sister. Proper food for the soul. Club to get together in spirit says, thanks for this conversation, Ray. Mental well-being. Generally, it is pushed to the bottom. We must be in conversation so as to survive and thrive post-COVID era. Conrad from Harlem, New York.
Hey,
big up
Conrad in the house.
You know what I'm saying? You know,
that's my
Harlem.
brother right there. That's one of my brothers from the States side.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, man, we give thanks for that, you know, because Harlem is very central to the Black experience all around the world, you know. Like like this that's where, you know, I've been to Harlem and I walk down the street like, yo, this is where Malcolm X used to walk in at. Like this is where Marcus Garvey used to walk in. I want you to know these things. That's how I feel when I go to Harlem certain time. You have to just know these things. It's very historical. So we give thanks for that. And finally, not quite finally actually. Sorry. A lot of ancestral energy came into the world at that time. Yeah, I'm not sure what time. Maybe he's talking about around the time George Floyd was killed. G's power, melanin, resurrection. You know, you don't know melanin resurrection and all these things.
Actually, I want to make a point about what Dr. Sankofa said. He spoke about the sign language. He's absolutely right about sign language, yeah, especially to children. Yeah, you know, for my children, all three of my boys learned baby sign language. Yeah, because we have to understand, again, especially during these times where people are mask wearing. Yeah, let's say somebody makes that choice. Sign language is going to give them, you know, raise their IQ. Yeah, signing to children, there's lots of little signs, there's lots of different baby sign language things you can start from and I say this as a doula. Yeah, you can start from when a child is like 7 months old. Yeah, you take these kind of, this is no, this is yes, yeah, this is drink, these are baby signs. Yeah, that people, this is like milk, all of these different things. I still remember them and I haven't done them for years. But you never forget them. And what happens is when the child goes into an educational setting, one of the reasons why I actually started doing it, and I think we have to remember that, and somebody talked about not leaving them in an situation there. Yeah. Now I know how they're dealing with Black boys out here. And as a mother to 3 sons, I was like, okay, I'm going to arm my children with this sign language. No one's going to be leaving my child in a corner. Yeah. If you're not okay, I'm going to show the nursery that you can communicate that. Yeah. And so being able to communicate that and let's just say from that, all of the children, but him in particular, because he was the first. So he was the only one to learn it. Yeah. You know, in concentration. Whereas the others could pick up the other brother speaking and stuff like that, you know, it sort of tapers off. But for him, it served him extremely well, so much so that I put him in debate teams when he was 13, 14. And now, you know, he's at uni doing social policy. He's that guy. Yeah. Yeah. One of those. Excellent. When, you know, and which is good in a sense where he was able to communicate from a young age. And all my children, when they had their little, you know, assessment, every time I asked them, you know, okay, what's their strengths? And all of them said, for boys in particular who may struggle to communicate in the same way as girls, yeah, all of my boys have come up, communication is their strength. Yeah. Wonderful. And you have to understand the power of that, because those first 2 years are absolute, they're taking in everything. And we're not getting this, our fears, if not mine personally and not yours, yeah, but the fears of society, yeah. Whereas fears of is an industry in itself, yeah. We have to be very mindful what we plant, the seeds that we plant. We have to be intentional with the seeds that we plant in our children at this time. Yeah, I cannot stress that enough. You can't just post-COVID. Forget post-COVID in this moment. We're in this situation for however long we're going to be in this thing. Yeah. This could be what it is. Yeah, what we're going to do. So it's people like you who are taking people from, you know, a space of not knowing, unawareness, you know, feeling despondent, feeling overwhelmed. Yeah. And different, you know, people are losing people. Let's be honest. People are losing people in this time. They call it the season of loss. Yeah. Yeah, it is a season of loss for a lot of people. So, you know, the work that you do is so important. I can't stress the importance of being able to take yourself from A to B with, you know, and dealing with that with some level of speed. Yeah. What we need is efficiency. What we need is to activate. Yeah. And actualize. It's that time now. And the times that we're in with all the different things that are going on, whether it was, you know, I sent you something earlier, you know, Shaka. I want to big up the sister, yeah, who filmed George Floyd. Yeah, I sent you a post earlier. Yeah, because if she hadn't filmed that, we wouldn't be having this day talking about what we're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would have gone unnoticed, and he would have been another dead brother. Yeah. So I just want to rate that sister. Yeah. Because I don't think people have given much credit to this sister at all. Yeah, so big shout out to this young queen. Thank you.
Yeah,
can you all give a round of applause? Yeah, for Darnella Fraser, who was just 17 years old when she was walking to the store, saw Siobhan's knee on George Floyd's neck and stopped and filmed the infamous video of this murder, which ensured that Derek Chauvin didn't get away with murder. Yeah. So I just want to big her up, because these are times, these are waking times. We've got to understand that we are waking up. Young people are waking up, you know, at a phenomenal rate. Yeah. You know, and this is in terms of evolution and growth and development, it's an excellent time. Excellent time. Yeah, we have to look at the good inside of this. It's an excellent time for growth. Everybody's having a rebirth that I know.
Yeah. now that you mentioned that, since I did want to and I should have done this at the beginning when you first mentioned the fact that this is the anniversary of the murder of Stephen Lawrence, but to remember his parents, Doreen and Neville Lawrence. A lot of people tend to forget Neville Lawrence. Yeah, like Stephen never had no father. So we have to remember Neville Lawrence. But we also want to remember Dwayne Brooks, who is the survivor of the attack. Yeah. The brother who was with Stephen Lawrence at that time, he was chased and he escaped being stabbed. On that day. And I don't mind saying that there's a lot that the brother I go on with right now that I don't agree with. Yeah, man's a conservative right there, that kind of different thing, and I talk up some. He was supporting the race report the other day as well. He's apparently one of the consultants. Yeah, so we don't agree with these things, but the brother is a survivor of a race attack, and he has lived. He has. Put it this way, the effects of that didn't end on that day for him. Yeah. And I've actually had interactions with the brother in a real life, so we know that he's carried the weight of that day. Yeah. From that day until now. And he was very, very dismissed and ill-treated by a lot of people, including the system and including the people that should have actually had more care for him as well. So shout out to brother Dwayne Brooks, in that regard. In spite of, another day we'll debate politics and probably cuss you, but today, what I'm saying, we'll say some love.
We acknowledge you today. We acknowledge you today.
Yeah, we'll say some love, and some healing.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a difficult day. We have to understand it's a difficult day for him. Yeah, so we just respectfully,
Yes.
It's a difficult one. It's your friend.
Yes, sir. Yes,
sir.
I mean, yes, sir. Sorry, that's what I said.
Yes, carry on. No, it's all right. Yeah.
Well, we're really over time right now, So I guess we can move to a close. I'll get a few more comments. And you can wrap up as you want to, Sister Morty. Let me just read these comments.
Absolutely. So I just want to.
One sec. Let me just read the comments out first. Sorry. And then
go for
it. So Dr. Sankofa says, start the things them. Sign language is our first language. Bless up on expanding on that. Big up to my brother over there in New Jersey. Saying bless up to Got Kush TV. Big up all my London brothers and sisters. Another shout out from the USA, Brick City. Shout out to Method Man and Redman, yeah. You know what I'm saying, for the verses the other day. Oh no, I ain't watched that verses, but we'll get back to it still. I'm mentioning that because Redman's also from Brick City. That's the link for anyone that they didn't get that. Anyway, what's it called? Amen for Daniela. Sorry, Daniela, is it Daniela or is that Daniela? Anyway, yep, our hero. Oops, I meant Shiro. Sister Kadais repeating that. Big up to Sister Daniela. And Gemma says, Ashe system or amen to what you just shared. Emotional intelligence and emotional communication is paramount to our children's development. And with that, we're going to head towards the close of our show. So feel free to take it away, Sister Mo.
Sure. I just want to say thank you for coming on to the show and sharing yourself so openly. And, and I just want to, I suppose if you've got any closing words that you want to say to our community right now, especially, sorry, we got a little echo there, especially in the times that we're in, as a closing statement, because I really thank you for that. And I think a lot of people don't, when you think of coaches, you think of young people, yeah? You don't think of mature women who've been there, done that, got the T-shirt, yeah? And is passing this on in a, you're filtering this down to your children.
So wait, hold on. I must protest, Sister Mo. Yeah, trying to say Sister Abby no young. We are trying to say. We are going.
She's one of my seniors.
I must protest.
She's a senior to me. She knows. I don't say anything. They just know who I am. They know, okay? I say nothing. Absolute respect. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's something that's been fresh and new, and a lot of people don't associate that with our elders in that sense. And I think it's really, again, you've bridged a gap there, and your children, the legacy that will have on your children, having that kind of knowledge and passing that down. Emotional intelligence. I saw an article just in closing, an article that said emotional intelligence is life or death for me. Go and check out that article. Yeah, it's an excellent article. I was actually looking for articles where Black people were talking about emotional intelligence, and there was hardly any.
Yeah, hardly any.
So check that one out. But sis, I just wanted to say thank you for coming on the show. And if there's anything you want to say in closing that you want to share with our people, if there's anything else you want to say, take the space.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you to you, and thank you to Brother for just letting me have this space and share some of my story. I'm just going to answer one question. So Dr. Sankofa said we need this for the brothers them too, which is about the empowering. So on the 17th of July will be the first Brothers Empowering You Brother Circle. So trust me, I'm not missing anybody out of this. It's too important. But on another note, for me, when I was really thinking about what this year meant for me at the beginning of the year, the words, so 2021 came into my mind: innovation, creativity, and expansion. And whatever those words mean to you, and they'll mean something to you as individuals, take those words: innovation, creativity, and expansion. And that is expansion of our mind, expansion of our soul, and creating that space that we want to be in, and innovating our young people to be the best that they can be. And I think those would kind of be my closing 3 words. Because I just think that where we are right now, it is an uprising. We are elevating each other in this journey. And I just think that is absolutely beautiful to see. So I'd like to leave you with those 3 words: 2021, the year of innovation, creativity, and expansion. Ashe.
Ashe. Give thanks, sis.
Ashe. Thank you very much, Sister ABI OSHO, for being here, family. And yeah, I'm gonna put you backstage, but feel free to stick around if you want to. But yes, it's been a pleasure. Yeah, so check out soulmelanin.com, family, for more information about all the beautiful work that Sister ABI OSHO is doing. Do recall that the Soul Melanin Empowering You Grounding Sister Circle is taking place on this coming Saturday, family. You can check it out at soulmelanin.com or Eventbrite for more information. So check it all out. It's all going down, and don't underestimate the importance of self-empowerment and self-care. There is no endeavor in life that you will engage in that you will not need to be cared for by the self and empowered within the South, kings and queens. So we give thanks for the ones who are ensuring that we do that work. Thank you very much, Sister ABI OSHO. It's been a beautiful conversation. And we look forward to next week. Let people know what I go on next week, yeah? Because I think I've been neglecting to do this for a couple of shows still. So let show the people them Wagwan next week, because it's going to be a levels one. We're guided to the mother lion. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We're going to be speaking to my brother and my sister, Chief Fode Mansare, and Sister Malinke Mansare, who are over there in Sierra Leone, West Africa, kings and queens, talking all things to do with a lot of the programs that they have. They're members of a thing called the Black Star Action Network International. They are also members of the Gullah Geechee Nation. If you know anything about the Gullah Geechee Nation in the United States of America, if you don't know, we're going to find out next week, all right? But they're leading the way in terms of repatriation efforts, people that want to return home to the motherland, particularly through Sierra Leone. They're leading the way, and so they've got a lot of programs happening right this minute now, in fact. So next week we're going to hear about all the things that they might do in terms of agricultural programs, cleaning and sanitation programs out there in Sierra Leone, and much more. So join us next week, Thursday, the 29th of April, on 7 p.m. Right here on Got Kush TV, where we will be speaking to Chief Fode and Malinke Mansare. It's going to be a powerful.
You will be flying solo next week, though. I warn you. Yes, you'll have
I'll have you know, sis. I'll have you know, that bad man. When I fly solo, we're not doing this solo business, we're not doing this. We're not solo, you know what I mean? I'm playing.
I won't be here next week, folks. I will have a few things that I have to take care of, but I will be here the week after. So enjoy. Shaka will do us all proud, no doubt.
Well, I can give thanks. I appreciate the trust and the confidence.
Of course, 100.
These things. So check that out, family. Sister Mott will be sorely missed, but she is purposeful nonetheless. So we know that, and we have no doubt that she will be back with us in good spirits and in good health following. So do stay tuned for more to come from Quarantine Convos, kings and queens. Please, if you have not done so already, watch our show from Monday on the St. Vincent and the Grenadines relief effort and all the things Wagwan. It was a powerful conversation. We went into a lot of information in terms of the science of volcanic eruption and the kind of care that people need to take, and the agricultural industry, the ganja industry, you know what I'm saying, and our kind of different thing with it going at kings and queens. So it was powerful, but importantly for right now, there's a lot of information in terms of the relief effort and how ones can support our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent. It will be an ongoing thing for some months and years, even to some degree, maybe. So just please stay tuned to the Vinci Alliance Mass on all social media, because that's where those people are central to all of the relief effort over here. And we'll do our best to keep you informed with updates as and when we can on Got Kush TV, Kings and Queens. So check out our conversation from Monday, on the St. Vincent and the Grenadines relief effort. Do stay tuned for that. And man, we'll see you next week, Kings and Queens. Remember that it's Quarantine Convos, 7 p.m. every Thursday, right here on Got Kush TV. Remember that, and always remember, you ain't got nothing.
Ain't got nothing if you ain't
got Kush. 2020, a year of many unforeseen challenges, where all had to adjust to a new reality. And despite it all, Got Kush TV was and still is here to serve you. And what a year it's been. We began the repatriation journey with our new show, Voyage to Motherland. We dropped the knowledge. You took your seats in the Kush University and joined us to hold a meds with the Art Doctor. Got Kush TV invited you to get involved in controversial conversation and enter the cipher. And when the world went into lockdown, we kept you connected with the Quarantine Convos. We kept our finger on the pulse of the community with coverage of the Reparations Rebellion and the Black Pound Day All Dayer. Not to mention more wordsmith and a slew of new music video releases for your viewing pleasure, and the official launch of the Got Kush TV website. We also brought you events including Women of Power and, of course, Black Trinity. Now, in 2021, Got Kush TV is continuing to level up the thing. First up, we are pleased to inform you that GotCushTV.com is open to exclusive memberships. Sign up to any of our membership tiers and you will gain access to playbacks from all our events and an ever-growing list of exclusive original content, including interviews, documentaries, and shows such as Kush University. To become an official member of GotCushTV.com, simply hit the membership tab. Stay tuned for continued updates. Then there's the new shows. Look out for more Decipher, Wordsmith, Hold the Meds with the Art Doctor, and weekly episodes of Quarantine Convos focused on health, wellness, education, and inspiration for our community. As always, the Got Kush TV film team is available for hire to cover all your events, adverts, infomercials, and all filming needs. Visit us at gotcushtv.com for hire inquiries and more information. Stand by all black businesses through our website, social media, and show content. We have monumental advertising, sponsorship, and network opportunities catering specially for you. Check out the advertising page on gotcushtv.com for more information. Got Kush TV is in full flight to join us for the ride. There's 4 things you can do. Subscribe to our channel. Hit that bell to make sure you don't miss a release. Join us on all social media and hit up GotCushTV.com to subscribe to our mailing list and sign up to become a Got Kush TV member for exclusive opportunities in the near future. Let us know you are feeling our content by hitting that ever so important button of approval. Comment. We want to hear your feedback on everything we are putting out. So make sure your presence is felt in the comment section. Share. Spread the word by hitting that share button and exposing your circle to the magnificence that is Got Kush TV. We are looking forward to building with you throughout 2021 and servicing you with high quality black media production. Got Kush TV, beyond discussion, beyond debate, we put the power in black media.
Quarantine Convos. Enjoy weekly discussions with people from around the world assisting us in dealing with this normal, mentally, spiritually, and physically. We feature nutritionists, psychologists, therapists, personal trainers, home educators, legal experts, and more, bringing you all the information and inspiration you need. Check out Quarantine Convos every Thursday from 7 p.m. live on Got Kush TV.